All right, everyone. Again, this is Mary Horstman calling from the Mayor's Office of Community Empowerment and Opportunity. Is Sasha on the line? Okay. Is Sarah on the line? Sarah McCullough.
Sorry, I'm on the line. I was muted. Sarah will be for a second. She's still on the train.
Okay. Sasha, I don't know if you want to kick us off or you want to wait a few minutes. We'll defer to you on that.
No, you guys can go right ahead. Sarah was initially going to do the introduction, but you guys can go right ahead.
Okay, great. So we're really excited to join you all this morning. We're here to talk to you all about food access resources in Philadelphia. We help staff along with United Way and Sarah McCullough in particular, the Philadelphia Food Access Collaborative, which works soup kitchens and social service providers throughout the city to make sure we're leveraging our resources as effectively as possible. So what we want to run through with you all this morning is just trying to figure out how to advance this slide. Here we go. It's talking a little bit about the work we do, very briefly, and sort of the state of food access in Philadelphia. And then talking about some key resources that we rely on very regularly to make sure that guests and volunteers know how to access emergency meals as well as access to key social services, and go over like what we found to be some of the most helpful resources in the area. And then talk about some other key contacts. And then really what we also want to do is answer questions. So what are you hearing from people who are calling into 211? What are the resources that you all feel like would be most beneficial? Because something we can also do is pull together materials after the fact and help you get some information you need in the way that you would find most helpful. So that's sort of the general plan for this morning. I think we're expecting this whole thing to take about a half an hour, so you won't take up too much of your time. And of course, we'll be happy to answer questions for as long as you have them. So one of the things that we wanted to just highlight for you is sort of the state of food access in Philadelphia. So you all have worked every day in this world, so this probably won't come as a huge surprise to you. But sort of this map here represents calls that were received by Philabundance for their emergency meal hotline. So people would call in and say, I'm trying to find food, where can I go? Most of the time it would be, I'm trying to find food right now, is typically the kind of call they would get. So there's a big concentration of need in North Philadelphia, which I think is probably no big surprise. And there's this concentration of need in the lower Northeast. I think one thing that I always want to highlight to folks is this big concentration of need in South Philadelphia, and also in Southwest and West Philadelphia. So those are sort of generally where we've been trying to focus our resources. We, as the Philadelphia Food Access Collaborative, are looking to increase the number of meals served. So working primarily with soup kitchens or congregate meal settings, making sure that there's enough meals at all times of the week. So every day, three meals a day. Making sure that those meals are being served in a safe and dignified manner so people can wash their hands, they can use the bathroom, they can sit down and eat a meal. Making sure that we're improving the nutrition of those meals. So for a lot of people, the only meal they're having that day is the meal that they're having at a food kitchen or a community kitchen. So trying to make that meal as nutritious as possible. And then making sure that at the meal, they're also able to connect to social services and health services. In some ways, we think about the food as a way of creating fellowship, a way of creating trust, so that they can take advantage of other services, building off of that trust. So this is one of the most valuable resources that we have, and we're going to make sure you all have copies of this. We update this about once a month and get regular calls from providers when they change their schedules. But what this represents is the primary soup kitchens or community kitchens in the area and their weekly schedule. So at the top you see Sunday breakfast, which serves meals 7 days a week. 3 meals a day, so they are the largest meal provider in the city. And they're a great resource. They're located right in Center City. And so you know, it's a great resource because you always know Sunday breakfast is open. You always know they'll have a meal for people. Our Brothers Place also serves a lunch meal every day, which is a really valuable resource. So there's some symbols at the bottom. So our Brothers Place is an example of something that only serves men. And it also serves as a shelter. So I know that... Sorry, do we have a question? Okay. On the PowerPoint, it's a little small, but on the piece of paper itself, it's actually way more readable. So it serves men only, and it's also a shelter. Mercy Hospice is a women's only shelter, which serves a meal every day for lunch. And then another popular one is, where is it on here? We've got Chosen 300, which is serves a meal in West Philly and South Philly, and a number of others. Oh, okay. And then St. John's Hospice is another one that's popular here in Center City. And then, where is it? Broad Street Ministry. And then Broad Street Ministry is also another popular meal service in Center City. So those are just some examples of meals. But one thing that we found really helpful is first asking, you know, when are you looking for a meal? Are you looking for a meal right now? And then figuring out where they live, and being able to use this as a tool to identify what the closest meal to them is. And this represents the back side of that. What this highlights is telephone numbers, the address of Time Center. But the other thing that we have here is what are the other services in addition to meals that they're providing that people can take advantage of. And then another resource that we use really often is the Project Home Where to Turn guide. Are folks familiar with that at all? All right, I'm going to assume most people are on mute, but maybe not so familiar with it. So this is a document created by Project Home's outreach team who goes out every day and tries to help people, particularly people who are street homeless, get access to goods and to services that they need. So one of the most valuable things, especially for volunteers, is that they can use this guide to give to people who are looking for help. One of the best things to do when you're trying to connect someone with resources is to actually have them call, or you can call the outreach team hotline, which is, as it says here, available 24 hours a day. They can go out to somebody if they're in danger or if they need immediate help, and actually go to them and figure out what they need. They can make recommendations about what services are available when, and so it's a really helpful resource. But it highlights drop-in centers, so places people can go to spend the day, drop their stuff, get access to a meal. It talks about food locations. It talks about help for domestic violence. And then on the other side, it has shelter, health services, youth services, legal services, LGBTQ services, as well as benefits access. And so it's a nice, curated list of what people can do for help that's particularly focused on people who are in shelter or unstably housed. Any questions about that? Okay. One other valuable resource that we really love is this website, Philly Food Finder. So I'm going to turn it over to Lena Scheffelman, who is our Food Access Collaborative Coordinator, to talk about that.
Okay, so this is just a snapshot of what the website looks like, but I actually want to pull it up so we can just look at it. So this is a report that was created by the Food Policy Advisory Council, and they basically collected information from all different groups that were doing similar work to what we're doing. So we provided them with a lot of the information about the soup kitchens. The Coalition Against Hunger provided them with a lot of food pantry information. And what you can do is, when you pull up this website, you can actually see a map of food resources in the city. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Basically, you can check the resource that you're looking for. So in this case, if you're just looking for soup kitchens, that's what I'm looking for right now. You can just leave that as the only one that's checked, and then they have these advanced options. So you can see if you know that the person that you're working with might not be able to go somewhere if it requires photo ID. Anything might need somewhere that's wheelchair accessible, you can check those. So if you want to check wheelchair accessible soup kitchens and search. Okay. Zoomed us in a lot, but we can see what's showing up here, which is the word in action, which is a soup kitchen. Looks like it's in North Philly. So basically, this resource started earlier this year, and they're working on constantly updating it. So one of the great things about it is you can update any additions or changes to the resources. So we know that there are a lot of soup kitchens that are wheelchair accessible, besides this one. So I'm going to uncheck that just so you can see some more of those. But you can basically submit any changes you have, and they can update it regularly. So if you just do soup kitchens overall, you'll see all of the resources that are available in Philadelphia, and we're always trying to find more that exist that we haven't networked with before and add them. But if you just click on one of the pins, it'll open up all the information that they have about it. So for this one, they have address, phone number, and they just encourage people to call, but they don't have the hours recorded, and that's something that would need to be submitted by the site. But this is a really great resource for just getting an idea of where things are located, what phone numbers are. You can find food pantries if that's what's more applicable to the person that you're working with. And I think they're also working on adding even more of these categories. So this is something that will be changing, but it's in its early stages, and it's pretty good to know about at this point. So does anyone have questions about that? Okay.
Great. We also wanted to share a couple other resources that we found to be helpful. The USDA Hunger Hotline is a great way of getting people connected to resources quickly and easily. And then the Why Hunger Hotline also helps people connect to local programs. Another thing that we find really valuable is the Coalition Against Hunger runs a great program to get people enrolled in SNAP or food stamps, which can help provide sustainable resources to people to address their hunger needs. And then the last one is the resource we mentioned, which is the Project Home Outreach Program. So again, that's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week resource that people can get help or can talk to somebody who can help navigate through the complicated world of trying to find shelter or other resources as needed. So that's a general overview from us, and we have contact information, and definitely feel free to contact us. But we'd love to hear from you about questions about this or about challenges you've seen from clients that you've struggled to answer, and maybe we can either talk about how you could use these resources or we can identify other resources for you.
Hey Mary, this is Sarah, and I was traveling, so I was on mute. That was really, really helpful, and I'm glad you mentioned the Where to Turn guide. And I sort of related to that. Do you know? Do you have a suggestion about like this kind of primer was super helpful for food? Of who would be the best person to do that potentially for housing and the shelter system?
Great question. So the sort of go-to resource I know we rely on is Carol Thomas over at Project Home. She's the head of the outreach.
Yeah.
And is really wonderful. Roberta Chancellor over at the Office of Supportive Housing is another resource who knows this world pretty thoroughly and can help connect people to the right resources.
Okay.
Any
And do you
questions?
have questions?
Can you hear me? Hi, good morning. It's Ann Feathers. Wonderful presentation with some much-needed information. We are, excuse me, losing our voice, and we are new to this.
Okay.
We're in our second week of completing our second week of taking calls for Philadelphia. So I was waiting to see if any of our resource navigators were going to ask questions first. I do have some questions on behalf of the team.
Great.
We have something in Pittsburgh called Produce to People that does distribution of fresh produce. Do you have something similar? Is that your Fresh to All?
That's a great question. So we actually have a couple of things that help get fresh food to local individuals. So we have CSAs that are either free or low cost. That's primarily through SHARE, which is one of our local food banks. And we'll get you some information about that. The other thing that we have is what we call Philly Food Bucks, which is a program where if you spend $5 of food stamps at a farmer's market locally, you get $2 additional to spend wherever that accepts food stamps. So that's another resource that is pretty popular here that we can get you information about.
Perfect. Related to that, because you mentioned farmers markets, it's past the time, but are the aging centers, are the senior centers the point of contact for the farmers market certificates for the seniors in the summer?
Yeah, Senior Centers is definitely a great resource. The Food Trust is another great resource. Philadelphia Corporation for Aging has been helping to coordinate that in part, but there's a number of other places, so we can get you a list of the organizations that provide that farmers market support.
All right. Some of the other routine food requests we would get are for people needing Ensure and other liquid nutrition.
Okay.
Have a cancer support center that provides that locally.
So that's interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and our food bank is willing to have the food pantry special order it when they know it's needed. That doesn't happen all the time, but when there's an urgent need, they will try their best. And I'm just wondering how we would navigate your system should we get such a request.
That's a great question. And you know what? I don't know offhand. I know of a couple of organizations that provide in-home delivery. We actually have a lot of great resources around home delivered meals for seniors. That I can send to you all. I don't know about insurance specifically, but we can look into that and get you some information back. So one thing I am aware of is that again, the Philadelphia Corporation for Aging runs around 30 senior centers that have been providing free lunches to seniors and are really making a push to have more seniors participate in those programs. So that's one resource that we've been really encouraging people to take advantage of if they are physically able to go to a senior center to take advantage of that lunch. But we'll look into that Ensure question, and then we have a whole series of resources, about 4 or 5 pretty high reach organizations that do home delivered meals for seniors that people can take advantage of if they aren't physically able to leave their homes.
Perfect.
Do some of these food pantries help with things like pet food? Because I know we do receive some requests.
We'll see if we can find out about the pet food. I know some do and some don't. Some are a little nervous to get involved in pet food. I know Phil Abundance, one of our local food banks does not accept pet food. to avoid any confusion or concerns around that. So let me find out about that. I don't have that information on hand, but I'll see if we can track it down. And you guys are located in Pittsburgh, is that right?
That is correct.
Oh, great area out there. I love Pittsburgh. So, and you're just starting to take over this work as of the last 2 weeks?
Correct, October 1.
Great, wonderful. Well, we're really excited to be partnering with you all. So what are the kind of questions you typically get from people in Pittsburgh or the Allegheny County area?
I'm a senior. I can't go to the food bank, the food pantry, because I can't carry the food home on the bus. It's too heavy.
Got it. Okay, that's really helpful. Yeah, so we'll definitely get you the information about the home delivered meals. I'll see if there's anyone who does deliveries for pantries as well. And then I think the congregant meals is a really big resource as well.
The other question that comes up from time to time are toiletries and paper products.
All right. I don't know who provides toiletries. We'll have to look into that. I know, again, like senior centers have on a limited basis, but not extensively, at least to my knowledge. So we can look into that. That's certainly a question for a lot of the vulnerable populations we work with. Is how to get access to toiletries. So I know in shelter they often provide toiletries, but if you're not in shelter, you own your own home or you're living on someone's couch, you still need access to toiletries. We can find out about that. I know offhand, I believe Broad Street Ministry provides toiletries, but we'll get more information and check the flyer to make sure that that's something we flag.
And Mary, this is Sarah again. I'll just add that Anne said that she was new to this, but it's just new to Philadelphia. She's a long-time information referral and a long-time 211 champion, not only for Pennsylvania, but nationally as well. So, and she's really plugged into the network and really understands this work. And as you can see, like the issues and the kinds of things that people ask, so is really always thinking about the best way to make this service accessible. So we're super excited about this new partnership.
That's great. And I think one thing we are always wanting to make sure is that the materials we're providing are really tailored to the needs of our audience. So if you guys have a way of looking at information that's really more helpful than others, I know we operate a 311 information center out of the city of Philadelphia. So people like to have little flyers that they can post on their cube and be able to access it here. But if there's a format or a way that any of you all want to get this information that's more helpful than others, let us know that, and we can tailor how we display this.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Okay.
I'm out of questions. Anyone else? Deborah, Michelle? No?
Okay, great. Well, as I said, we're so excited to be able to spend some time this morning with you talking about this. If there are things that come up, I know it sounds like you guys are just getting to know Philadelphia a little bit. So if there's things that come up related to food or homelessness that we can be helpful with, please let us know and shoot us an email or give us a call. And we'd be really happy to get you the information you need. You guys are really on the front line of this really critical work, as I'm sure you already know. So we're just grateful to you for taking the time and for putting all this work into making sure people get access to the services that they need.
Thank you so much for all of your help, and we certainly will be in touch.
All right. Wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
so much. Bye.